ridding yourself, both physically and emotionally, of the baggage that you have toted around for so long is so freeing. The detritus that accumulates in your life that you feel responsible to drag along behind you or wear like a cloak, weighing you down. I honor your persistence in feeling that you are perhaps paying a penance for carrying that with you, or that you are shouldering your part of the burden. Perhaps you have some guilt around something, or perhaps your house is just fucking filled with clutter that you can't get rid of. Today, I offer you that to rid yourself of a lot of that, both material and immaterial garbage, is incredibly freeing. Welcome to Body of Truth. I'm Rebecca Windsor. Body of Truth was born after years of absolutely ignoring my inner self and her voice. What I had determined to be the truth ended quite suddenly. My marriage ended with a phone call after 25 years, the last 5 of which were complete fallacy and myth. My son shortly after left for college, and I was forced to build my life up again from scratch. All the identities that I had worn as a cape and a cover to keep from looking at my own shit had disintegrated. I will always be a mother, but I was no longer an active mother. He didn't need me there every day. My marriage was over. The role of wife has been completed. So along with that came feelings of failure, feelings of rejection, everything that went along with it. And upon self-discovery, a lot of my own assumptions had been based on lies. Really, lies that I've been carrying around since the time I'm young. Lies that have weighed very heavily on me and influenced my decisions without me having any conscious knowledge of that. The most important discovery that happened for me is that in making all these new decisions and changing everything in my life, I was able to understand that when I make the changes through my body and make sure that I assign like a physical marker to them, they're able to be recalled, they're able to become a habit, and you're able to make a muscle memory in your brain. So when you're making new decisions, they're becoming an automatic decision making process, giving you a completely new paradigm to make decisions that is probably closer to the truth than you started, ideally. And then also change the outside of your life, because once you change the way you think, changing your circumstances is far easier. So when I separated from my ex-husband, the responsibility of the house fell to me. He traveled for a living, which obviously was part of the demise of our marriage, but also like we didn't really work on our house much. So it was definitely due for a round of capital that we weren't going to put in it. And now we're separating. I was in a neighborhood full of young families and my kids leaving for college. Like, what was I doing there? So rather than have the house just slowly fall down around my ears, we agreed that we would sell it. And one of my caveats in the sale, since I had to handle everything, was I was selling it as is. I left that house with 2 cartons of books, a box of journals, makeup, clothes. That's it. I brought nothing of my old life with me. I already told the story of smashing that model on my front walk, which was satisfying. I didn't bring my china. I didn't bring my crystal goblets. I sold everything with the house, including most of the furniture. I think I might have brought 1 or 2 items of furniture, but because I collect frame mirrors. I very purposefully decided to leave behind all of those things that had accumulated and reflected my marriage back at me. It wasn't easy. And in the beginning, I would kind of be like, where's that? Oh, I don't have that anymore. But I have to tell you, the amount of times where I was like, where's that, is far less than you think. Like the things that you think you want to hold on to, you don't need them. If you don't reach for them within 6 months, I mean, obviously there's seasonal items, right? I don't reach for my snow boots in the summer, but If you don't use an item within 6 months, you don't need it. And ridding myself of all of that physical weight alleviated some of the emotional weight too. So, what I'm going to liken that to is the emotional weight that we shoulder and carry around that we don't even know that we do. I promise you that you are carrying around lies that you have been told inadvertently from childhood, that some thoughtless person said, "Oh, you're just not good at math." So you assume that you're not good at math. You try, you feign ignorance around numbers, and you have a learned incompetence. It's those little triggers that turn into, it's an acorn that turns into a gigantic oak forest. And those little things stay with you throughout your life. And it's the job of a seeking person to unearth the lies, to learn the truth, and reset your paradigm so you get to choose what is true for you. So today, I hope that you maybe look around your home or look around your brain. What are you carrying that doesn't serve you? What is your house filled with that you don't need? It's a great time to donate. It's a great time to clean house. It's the end of the year. We're wrapping up kind of like what this year meant to us, and I'll start to talk about that a little bit more. But have your physical surroundings supporting what you want your inner world to look like. If you want to be clutter-free and not distracted, create yourself a clutter-free space to be in. And these things will make a huge difference. Take an inventory, both interior and exterior, and make a list of things that you know that you could live without. And then practice living without them and see how it works. Put a whole bunch of stuff in a box, put it to the side. Do you ever go to that box? If you don't go to that box goes to the curb. If you have something in your mind that you know doesn't serve you, I urge you to witness it coming up in your life. How often does it come up? Mark every time it comes up. Here's an example. Sometimes people we know have verbal tics. For a short time, my mother used the phrase, "the reality is." Sometimes that phrase could be very effective. The trouble is that without knowing it, she was using it 10 times in one conversation. But once brought to her attention, she noticed every time she said it and she cut it out of her vocabulary. So what I'm telling you is that's a good way to think about a habit that you have. You've got to notice it first. What's a bad emotional kind of tic that you have? When does it come up for you? When is it activated? Because the noticing is the first step to undoing it. So today I'm just asking you to notice it. And maybe even just start to think about what you want to rid yourself of. What's taking up room that just doesn't belong there anymore? It might be there just out of pure habit. You're used to it. And your ego works very hard to keep things familiar. If there's something new that could be better, it is very likely that your ego will try to sabotage you and keep you in something that's familiar. I use the phrase, very often we will sleep on a bed of nails that we know instead of a feather bed that's available because we're not sure. We'll take miserable certainty over fabulous uncertainty or promise or hope. So I hope you take a minute today and kind of think through these concepts. Let's clean ourselves out a little bit physically, emotionally, materially, and it cannot help but have a huge benefit for you. And that's what I want for you. A cleaner, more clutter-free life. I want that for me too. And the end of the year is a great time to start to try to put those things into practice. So share with me here in the comments below what you want to rid yourself of. And if I see something and I have a technique that I know could apply to that, I'm happy to share it. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you tomorrow.